Welcome back to Andersen Acres. Today we're stepping out into the garden to talk about one of my favorite easy to grow annuals, Calendula. Some folks call it the pot marigold, but it's not actually related to marigolds at all. It's its own cheerful little species that brings a lot of color, usefulness, and joy to any garden. And it's one of those flowers that rewards even the most forgetful gardener. If you're new to gardening or just looking for something hardy and forgiving, Calendula might just be your new best friend. Now, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, Calendula and I go way back. I grow it every single year because it never lets me down. It's bright, it's dependable, and it looks like sunshine even when the sky insists on being gray. Calendula plants typically grow about 1 to 2 feet tall. They have single or double daisy like flowers in shades that range from creamy white to golden yellow to deep orange. The petals are soft and velvety, and if you plant enough of them together, it kind of looks like your garden is smiling. They make wonderful cut flowers, so if you like having fresh blooms in vases around your home, this is a plant that keeps on giving. Calendula fits right in just about anywhere. Flower beds, cutting gardens, borders, even large containers. It's one of those anywhere, anytime plants that doesn't really make a fuss. Just give it full sun and it'll do the rest. Now, technically, Calendula is an annual, which means it completes its life cycle in one season. But it's a hardy annual, and that makes all the difference. It can handle a little bit of frost without blinking an eye. A mild frost won't take it out. But once that hard killing frost comes along, it's game over. In warmer climates, Calendula can actually bloom all winter long. Not here. It's too cold here. When it's 40 below, nothing's blooming except maybe the ice crystals on the windows. But if you live somewhere mild, you could have color in your garden nearly year round. For those of us with real winters, though, Calendula is one of the first flowers you can plant in early spring. The seeds can be sown directly outdoors as soon as the soil can be worked, or you can start them indoors a few weeks early if your growing season is really short, like ours is. Personally, I do like starting mine early. There's something satisfying about seeing those first green shoots when there's still a little snow melting outside. It's a promise that warmer days are on their way, and it's something we can use around here when it's still 40 below. If you're sowing directly outdoors, just scatter the seeds where you want them and cover them very lightly with soil. They don't need a lot of fuss. Keep the soil moist, not damp, and you'll see sprouts within a week or two. Once they're established, calendulas are fairly drought tolerant, but they do appreciate a good drink now and then, especially during those hot summer months. They prefer well-drained soil, though they're not really that picky about the quality of the soil. If you've got half-decent garden soil, they'll be happy enough. But if your soil is heavy clay or tends to stay soggy, work in some compost or some sand to loosen it up a bit. You don't want the roots sitting in water. Now, one of the nicest things about Calendula is that it's practically pest resistant. Aphids might show up occasionally, but usually the beneficial insects in your garden, like ladybugs, handle that for you. In fact, Calendula is known for attracting pollinators and the good bugs, so it makes an excellent companion plant. I often tuck it around my vegetables because it helps draw bees and butterflies to where I want them, because I want that stuff pollinated. If you want continuous blooms all summer long, here's a little tip. Deadhead regularly. That means snipping off the faded flowers before they go to seed. The plant will respond by putting out more blossoms. It'll try to reproduce again, so it needs more flowers. If you let it go to seed, though, don't worry, it often self-sows. You might find little baby calendulas popping up next spring all on their own. It's always a nice surprise, and it's a pretty plant, so it's fine. Now let's talk about harvesting, because calendula isn't just a pretty face. The petals are edible and packed with uses. They've been used for centuries in both medicine and cooking. You can sprinkle the fresh petals on salads, bake them into breads, or one of my favorites, use the dried petals on a cake. They're very pretty. They had a lovely golden color that looks fancy but couldn't be simpler. Calendula petals have a mild, slightly peppery flavor. They've sometimes been called poor man's saffron because they can add a yellow tint to food. Personally, I don't think anyone's fooling themselves into thinking they're saffron, but it's still a fun bit of culinary history. Medicinally, calendula has been prized since ancient times for its healing properties. The petals contain compounds that are soothing to the skin and help with inflammation. A simple calendula salve can work really well, especially if it's just infused petals in oil mixed with beeswax. It's great for dry hands, cuts, and scrapes. Around here, with all the animal chores and gardening, my hands do take a beating. So having a jar of calendula salve on the shelf itself is a real lifesaver. And if you're into herbal teas, you can dry the petals and steep them. It makes a gentle, calming tea that's been said to help with the digestion and overall wellness. I like to think of it as sunshine in a cup, especially when the snow is still flying outside. Now, remember how I said we'd sprinkle in a little bit of folklore? Well, calendula's name actually comes from a Latin word meaning the first day of the month. The Romans noticed that it seemed to bloom at the start of each month, and they associated it with constancy and renewal. In medieval Europe, it was a symbol of cheer and endurance. And in older traditions, people believed calendula could bring luck or help mend a broken heart. Whether you believe that or not, it's hard not to feel happier when you see those bright golden blooms waving in the sun in the morning. For all its charm, calendula really asks for very little, just sun, moderate watering, and a little deadheading. It's also a great flower for kids to grow, quick to sprout, easy to care for, and rewarding when it blooms. They won't be disappointed. If you save the seeds at the end of the season, you'll notice they look a little bit like dried worms. That's normal. Just store them in a paper envelope, somewhere cool and dry, and they'll be ready for next year. Or, like I said earlier, just let nature handle it and let them reseed themselves, as long as you don't mind where the plants end up. The seeds can travel a little bit. Whether you grow it for beauty, for pollinators, for herbal remedies, or just because it makes you smile, calendula is one of those plants that belongs in every garden. It's forgiving, useful, and full of sunshine, even when you aren't. That's about it for us here today at Andersen Acres. Drop a comment below and tell me what annuals or perennials you love growing in your garden, or if you've ever tried using calendula in home cooking or homemade creams and salves. We'll see you tomorrow.